From today, look at me nicely. If you are a viewer and if you are a judge, look at me nicely. From today onwards, Gachagua will be viewed with a lot of suspicion by Kalonzo. That is the cheap thinking of this country. That is the thinking behind this party Gachagua is launching. The most basic, rudimental, kindergarten thinking. Which means in his thinking, they are always going to be entering a coalition where somebody else is the boss. It's not them. So they are playing second fiddle. The launch of this party brings Gachagua in direct conflict with Uhuru Kenyatta. So what Gachagua is trying to do now is to hand Ruto the presidency.
Great to see you. Hello there and welcome to Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is General Kabir. It is always a pleasure to have you joining us for some minutes every single day to listen to these conversations to help build our country in both politics and policy decisions. I'm here with Prof. Manyora. Great to see you. How are you doing today?
Wonderful.
You're wonderful.
You're correct.
As much as Gachagua is, or you're just wonderful?
More than Gachagua.
He's launched his party, Democracy for Citizens Party. Skiza
DCP.
Wa Kenya, Skiza ground.
Yes.
That's what do you think about this move from Rigathi Gachagua? You've said severally, but that Gachagua shouldn't come up with a party, not this soon. You've also said he's someone that should be sought after. Yes. He should be above other political leaders. But this party, Skiza ground, Skiza Wa Kenya, is selling in Mount Kenya, and globally, Cleopas Malala is actually the deputy party leader interim. What do you make of this decision to launch this party today?
I have advised against it. Time will prove me right, I believe. The one accusation against Gachagua that stood out during the impeachment and that has followed him like his shadow up to today is that he's a tribal leader. He never sees beyond Mount Kenya. The launch of this party by Gachagua, not by the mountain people, by Gachagua, becomes the very sad confirmation of that accusation in the minds of many Kenyans.
Why so? I just mentioned Cleopas Malala from
we know
Western
that.
Kenya.
We know. Even when Kinaolo and Sakaja were officials of TNA, we knew it was a Uhuru Kikuyu party. So you Kenyans know these things. It was a wrong thing for Gachagua to do. Another reason why it is not good for him. You remember I've started a series. I started last week. I'm now doing, last week I did Gachagua, Matiang'i and Kalonzo. I'll come back to those individuals later in another, a few days from now. But this week it is Uhuru Kenyatta and Gachagua. Why am I bringing in this thing? The launch of this party brings Gachagua in direct conflict with Uhuru Kenyatta.
How so?
But Uhuru would have preferred the mountain works through Jubilee.
Oh.
And they bring Matiang'i to be the candidate. Because already the name Matiang'i is being received very well by the Mount Kenya people. From my own investigations, very well. And therefore, he's the ideal candidate. And Kalonzo, so far, they are at par. I was trying to find out between the two. I have not yet decided who, and it has not become clear. Matiang'i seems to have an upper edge over Kalonzo. But the two are well received by the mountain. That's a fact. So when you form your own party, are you not antagonizing the community and are you not pitting the community against other people? And especially with Uhuru Kenyatta. So I think it is ill-advised. The reason he has, which again cheapens him, I'm sorry to say that, is that they went blindly into Kenya Kwanza, in the UDA. They should have had their mountain party. So he's thinking of playing second fiddle. The problem with the politicians in this country, they will never be advised.
When you say second fiddle, what do you necessarily mean?
Let me explain. The Mount Kenya people went to UDA without conditions. They joined UDA and thereafter Kenya Kwanza. Mudavadi came with a small, tiny party, a kiosk, but he came with conditions. He became the prime cabinet, something I don't know what they become, and a few of his people. Mutua came with Jim and Leo Chap. He brought no votes, but he got the cabinet. He got his things.
Yes.
Kingi came with PA. You do not even know what PA is.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, PA.
He came with it. He's the Speaker of the Senate. Wetangula came with a small thing called Ford Kenya, another kiosk. He's the Speaker of the National Assembly. Nakumija became CS Health and so on and so forth. The Mount Kenya people trusted Ruto. That's the argument. So what Gachagua is saying, we are not going to enter into any other coalition without our own party. Which means in his thinking, they are always going to be entering a coalition where somebody else is the boss. It's not them. So they are playing second fiddle. I thought Gachagua would know where he had pushed himself and where the Mount Kenya people were. They were the main players.
What if this is what they're...
No, you don't. It doesn't have to be a party.
I'm asking, what if they're doing the UDA way? I create a party and then all other parties will follow to join us.
It can't work like that. They are thinking of joining with people
for negotiation,
and yet so that they must have a party so that they are not taken for granted. That already betrays your mind. You are seeing yourself not being the major player. And yet by sheer numbers and by the sheer force of Gachagua, he had occupied the top space already. He needed to figure out, how do I remain the main player between now and 2027 and after, without cheapening myself
But what if?
by making a party with that thinking that I don't want to go into a place, then Matiang'i takes me for granted when he becomes president. Matiang'i should be your president. Kalonzo should be your president. And you should not give him breathing space. Why do Kenyans have a problem with thinking? That's pedestrian thinking. Having a party is pedestrian.
So you guys have your party, but I'm in charge. This is what you're saying?
Yes.
They have their party.
Yeah.
But when you sit down, they know.
People like Sam Yoma, they left president, but they were still calling the shows. Nyerere and the rest. You must find a way because you have the numbers. What you do, chini ya maji, ensure you know who becomes MP. The way Ruto, mpaka Mount Kenya, Ruto decided who became MP in 2017. Akiangalia 2022. You mean Gachagua can't think that way? You have only compliant leaders. And the community has an agenda. And they will continue speaking with one voice and facing in the same direction, facing Mount Kenya. Should the president show signs of not honoring, in one afternoon he goes home. You work with Eugene, you work with somebody else, and you put Matiang'i there. You put Kalonzo there. Should he as much as show signs, kesho yake anaenda nyumbani. That is thinking in politics. But a party, anybody, any idiot can form a party.
The reasoning
is the Kenyan society, this country. Look. I call it the bump mentality. We can't enforce speed limits. We put bumps everywhere. You see the thinking I'm talking about? We have so many laws and regulations to stop people from doing this. There's a school here. Idiots are flying by at 100 kilometers per hour. You put bumps. A journey that should take 2 hours ends up taking 5 hours because of the many bumps on the road. Can't we put cameras? And they are not even expensive these days. And enforce speed limit. Let an idiot fly there. We give him a fine, he has to pay to sell the car. This is a place where there are schools. Speed limit is 40. You come there with 60. We fine you 100,000. You sell the car. Until after 6 months, every Kenyan knows the meaning of speed limits. Bumps, bumps, bumps. That is the cheap thinking of this country. That is the thinking behind this party Gachagua is launching. the most basic, rudimental, kindergarten thinking, which I keep telling my colleagues at the university until we get almost to fight. Anytime you are thinking, it's like a Shushan man, unless it's from intelligence. You know, NIS, they were special branch.
Yes.
Many of the Shushan people were special branch. On a person squeezing taxi people. Wewe bebo na mtu ya Uber unasikia. Hata ile kizungu anaongea, ile knowledge yako naye. Mimi huwa nacheka saa ingine tu. Unless you are dealing with intelligence boys planted kwa taxi, kwa matatu, if you are thinking is the same, if something happens and your views on the thing is what your houseboy has, then you have a problem. Because society has given you the benefit of going to school. You are not a special human being, but life is about the experiences. Even in traditional societies, those who had accumulated and acquired certain experiences assumed leadership roles. Not because you are a special human being. No, experiences, training, apprenticeship, then training, then you become something. So if you have reached the level of Manyora or Gachagua or Jad, society expects leadership from you.
But let's look
so you must think.
Let's look at the
Don't do what your houseboy can do.
I'm asking.
Ruto alituchesa tufanye shama yetu. That's what your houseboy will say, and your gardener. He doesn't have the benefit of education like you. He doesn't have the benefit of experience that you have. He hasn't traveled. He hasn't interacted with people like you have. Your thinking should be beyond his. That's what Gachagua is doing. He's doing like mtu ambaye anachukua kahawa yake, anachuna kahawa yake huko wa Munyoro. Hivyo ndio anafikiria, na ndio Gachagua amefikiria hivyo.
Allow me to ask a question.
Yes, please do.
What if the other side of this is Gachagua is actually vying for presidency and he wants to use this party to vie? Because for political observers, yes, Gachagua is going to vie in 2027. That hapo kuna ka point. But it will put him in a coalition course with other players. And Gachagua vying should come at the tail end of this process of team building. I'm going to unravel some of the blunders he has made in less than 2 weeks, which includes putting it there in the public that he's a candidate. So what Gachagua is trying to do now is to hand Ruto the presidency. In what way?
Among the people who are running against Ruto, none would feel hurt more than Gachagua if Ruto goes back. Because he has made it his life, his life and death issue that Ruto must go home. Hata akiongea unasikia. Wakati Ruto atarudi State House, kuna watu wataanguka chini. Mmoja wa kwanza atakuwa Gachagua. By coming out openly, and this launch of this party is the beginning of that journey. He's handing Ruto a lifeline. He could run, and I've always known he would run. He may run. Let me not be very sure. But he must let the coalition building take place first. That party should have been launched by other people. I've said it a lot, other people. That's normal. Parties are always launched. People can suspect it's part of it. It's not probably. Give money, let them launch. Give your people you know, trust, leadership there, Kina Malala and the rest. Kambali. We continue being the main player that he has been. From today onwards. From today, onwards. Look at me nicely. If you are a viewer and if you are a judge, look at me nicely. From today onwards, Gachagua will be viewed with a lot of suspicion by Kina Kalonzo. And this is the beginning of the disintegration of the opposition. Nothing short of a miracle will save them. The opposition is practically gone. It now, like I'll show in my video on Saturday, it will now depend on one man, Uhuru Kenyatta. And he must chase Gachagua out of Mount Kenya for the opposition to win, for Matiang'i or Kalonzo to win. Only Uhuru Kenyatta by chasing Kalonzo. So he has shown his head too early. He would have let the opposition just build with trust. Because what is the driving narrative of the opposition in this country? What seems to be making the opposition sure they will win? There are two things. The involvement of the Gen Z, without which they can't win. And the sacrifice, if I call it, from Mount Kenya. That this time, Mount Kenya wataki kitu. They want to make sure Ruto goes. They are not interested in this thing. That narrative should continue until you get to a point where it is inevitable that if it is Gachagua, he must run. But by starting it this early, the trust is gone. That narrative is diminished, is lost. So Kikuyus have become competitors once again. Kalonzo is demoralized. The Kambas are demoralized. And the Ruto could very easily now just begin to smile. I am telling you, today, Ruto has had a very good breakfast.
Then let me finally ask you this. Gachagua, we have agreed he's doing the most in the opposition.
Yes.
You've listened to Githurai. Yes. Ruto one term.
One term.
Yeah. One term.
Yes.
Do you think this reception is getting from the people, he will receive it lesser because of this party?
Yes.
And how? Why? Because we have agreed that he's actually doing the most in opposition. People are receiving him well.
And I've said before, he should have left. He will continue to be the leader of the opposition. He is the de facto leader of the opposition. Not Matiang'i, not Kalonzo. He should have continued to enjoy that. He reduced himself to a village boy of Wamunyoro by coming up with our Munyoro party. I don't know whether you are getting what I'm saying.
I'm saying.
Leaders in this country, they never seek advice from people who can tell them, listen, you are reducing yourself. Can you point at a person who is higher than Wamunyoro in opposition politics today?
No.
Si Gachagua?
Yes.
Si ndio kusema?
Yes.
Mbona anajirudisha chini? Sasa leo amewacha huo ukubwa alikuwa nao wa kuwa kiongozi wa upinzani. Sasa amejiteremusha, akajiweka chini kwa ngazi ya hao wengine. Sasa wanatoshana. Na wamwamini sababu amesema anataka hiyo kiti. Angewacha. They could get to a point where it may be inevitable. He's the only guy who can take this thing. The way Raila does.
You keep quiet.
Watu wanaongea tu, Kalonzo anasema tulikuwa na MOU na Raila.
Yeah.
But when the time comes, it is obvious it is Raila to carry the flag. Have you ever seen a Raila asking for it? Have you ever seen?
No.
2013, 2017, 2022. Unaona anauliza? It becomes inevitable it is Raila. And Fred Gumo is there in 207 to tell them, jamani, come on. You know this thing ni ya Raila. Anavia kina Mudavadi kina Ruto. Wacha tusidanganyane. That's where Wamunyoro was. Angewacha iende until it gets to a point where two things, one of the two. One, it is him to decide who becomes president. And he does it with his ambition in mind. In politics, it's a question of how much control will you have. Silent control more than loud control. A party is, you are approaching somebody with bells ringing. You'll be prepared even if he's weak. Or, okay, for purpose of control, if you are putting somebody else. And number two, for purposes of your future ambition. Is Kalonzo the best so that I can run in 2032? Matiang'i is young. He will do 10 years. Can I have a deal with Kalonzo so that it's 5 years? You know, or how can I destabilize him? That's politics. So that I'm the presidential candidate in 2032. As you choose, because you have the power to choose. You have maintained that power, which he has released today. Ametupa your power, because he has become an ordinary competitor in the field. Secondly, this thing could go up to a point where, because you are the one in the driving seat, you become a Raila. It becomes inevitable that you are the one to run. Watu wanapiga hesabu. Wanapiga hesabu, wasema, Ruto, kama hatuwezi kumshinda round 1, at least atayazi shinda round 1. And the only way to ensure that happens is to have the Mount Kenya candidate. So that we get those 7-8 million votes Hakuna siku Ruto anaweza kwenda, because they will have weighed what Ruto has done, the way this border issues of Somalia, Tana River huko, nasikia wapi, how many people are getting registered, how you can't do anything about it, but now he gets the numbers he shouldn't have been having. The other leaders he has managed to convince to cross from the opposition and join him. Unapiga samu unasema hii haiwezekani, hii imekataa. The only way is to put a Kikuyu against him, to force a run off, because kama Matiang'i amekataa na run, ama say Kalonzo amesema ni lazima atarun, na Matiang'i anataka, mwingine anataka, Eugene amesema mno. So what do we do? Let's give the man with the most votes to stop Ruto in round 1, or to force a runoff. So that calculation could lead to him. But because you are the one in the driving seat, you can force the discussion to go in that direction. Sasa leo anawacha hiyo, simi namhurumia tu.
I said finally, but my last finally, because it's not fair to live without a solution. Does Gachagua have a way in? Because you've said unless a miracle happens, he has already put himself in Kalonzo's space. Is there a miracle for him, and what can he do?
Maybe because he has made a blunder. I've said this time I don't want to say things without give solutions without money, without pay.
Yeah.
They must pay me. But because I love this country, and because maybe they want to remove Ruto, I may not be sharing the same thinking. Choosing the presidential candidate might then be forced to come earlier, so that the suspicion and the fear from his colleagues disappears. This thing, they have lost it. Today was the day they were losing it. And today is the day William Kipchirchir Samoei Arap Ruto. Today is the day he has had his best breakfast since he became president. Because now he's assured of his second term.
We'll have a conversation about what the opposition should do now that Gachagua has his Democracy for Citizens Party. Skiza wa Kenya. What should the opposition do? We'll have that conversation. It's Prof right that Ruto is having a good breakfast and probably dinner tonight. Have yourself a lovely rest of your day.